Good morning. It's Monday, 9 minutes after the hour. And I'm here to testify that we have a great God. Even if we don't know we have a great God, we have a great God. A God who is not leaving anything up to chance. A God who is God. A God who does not gamble. A God who does not cotton to our opinion about things. He's got his own ideas. And it turns out that all is out of God, through God, and for God. This is good news. God is operating all things after the counsel of his will. And we come into this life totally ignorant of everything. We're babies, We're on a expressway of learning. As soon as we're born, we learn how to cry and see what that gets us. Learn how to smile, see what that gets us. And by the time we turn 3 years old, we learn not to poop in our pants. You know what I mean? It's a mad rush to learn things. And then sooner or later, we learn that all is of God. Yesterday, we spent some time reading Brother Elhanan Winchester's essay, a sermon that he preached in 1782 to the brothers who had been kicked out from the Philadelphia Baptist Church in Pennsylvania. They had been kicked out because they discovered and believed something about the restoration of all things. And so they believed in the quote, restoration of all things. And the Baptist Church there in Philadelphia kicked these guys out. I don't know how many of them there were, but just the fact that Brother Winchester gave a sermon to them over at the university, they must have had enough to fill up a university room. So it wasn't like he was meeting them around the table at the coffee shop to have beer or something, or at the bar. It was enough people that they needed a room. So let's guess there were 20, 30 or 40 of them who had been kicked out of the Baptist church over in Philadelphia. And he gave them comfort. Comfort to the outcasts was kind of the title of the sermon. And it turns out that being an outcast is kind of a thing. Nobody wants to be an outcast. Nobody wants to be a lone wolf. Even lone wolves kind of follow the pack around, in the wolf community. They follow the pack around at a distance, maybe to eat off of the scraps that they leave behind. I don't know. But being an outcast is a considerable uncomfortable situation. If you're uninvited to the Thanksgiving dinner of the grand extended family, well, that's something, man. Did you deserve it? Anyway, so I really found a lot of joy in reading in that sermon yesterday. And I'd encourage you to go back to yesterday's episode and listen to the reading of it. Yeah. And it's hard to think a new thought. And one of the problems with thinking a new thought is not only do you have to unlearn your old way of thinking, you have to battle your old way of thinking to get to this new thought, but you also have to battle your neighbors and your friends and your loved ones and your acquaintances because they think in the old way, and here you come along with a new thought, no matter what the thought is. And it's always a battle, not only in your own mind, but in your community at large. And new thoughts are not well received, whether it's in the medical industry, the science industry, the astronomy industry, the religious industry, the building industry. It's so easy just to go along to get along, but then you have results. Old thoughts produce predictable ways. New thoughts are we don't know where these new thoughts are going to lead and how they're going to affect us. And this sermon that Brother Winchester preached 241 years ago, when you read it, you can see that not much has changed in 241 years. There's still plenty of religious folks who are quite comfortable with their old way of thinking, especially with regards to eternal torment, permanent annihilation of the wicked, and God destroying the vast majority of his creation just because he was taking a gamble. It didn't work out just right. He didn't have absolute control over it, and it went awry. And so you come along with this new thought that God indeed is the Savior of all mankind, and that all is of God, who was conciliating the world to himself, not holding their offenses against them. And like John the Baptist said, behold, the Savior of the world. Yeah, so what do you do with these new thoughts when you're in among a bunch of people who don't think this new way? The most pleasant thing they can do would be to say, well, I guess we don't know, son. We'll just have to wait and see what God does with the whole matter, whether or not he burns everyone, all these people eternally, or whether or not he does indeed reconcile the universe to himself. So, what do you do with a new thought? How do you embrace it? Do you have to prove it? Can you live a rejected life, a mild and quiet life, without the necessity of the collective? We need the collective for some things, but just how far do we give the collective rule and authority over our own emotions and peace of mind? Hmm. Anyway, so take a few moments and go back to yesterday's episode and take a look at the sermon by Mr. Winchester called Outcasts Comforted. It only takes a little over an hour to read it to you. So, in my own personal journey of faith, um, I have left churches, and there were times when churches kicked me out. I guess it's more comfortable to leave a church on your own journey of faith to move over to something else, some other way of thinking, to fellowship with different believers. I think a lot of the outcasts of today actually find themselves on YouTube because they can't find a church group that satisfies their great questions, their deep questions. So they find themselves on YouTube looking at various channels. A lot of the brothers and sisters who are on this channel have come through Martin Zender and or the Concordant Publishing Concern. The ways of God are pretty deep and beautiful. And I think that we can contend that there's just no end to the depth of the beauty of the operations of God. And to learn that God is not going to destroy the vast majority of his creation in hell or permanent annihilation. He is actually going to redeem all, justify all, reconcile and conciliate all through Christ's work on the cross. And this is a deep and beautiful topic. And so in the journey of unlearning our Christianity that we came through, you might find yourself examining Trinity and immortal soul and tithing. What role does Israel play in the whole matter? What's the deal between Paul and the law, between grace and law? Yeah, so once you begin to think a new way, if you do it enough times, I think you'll get to the place to where you'll see that it may be that you don't have it all right, so you can be comfortable with your ignorance into the great matters of God. You just don't know everything about everything. And so you get to the place where you don't have to win a fight. You don't have to need to be right. You can just say, I have faith in God, that God is the Savior of all mankind. I don't know. I may not know exactly how he's going to pull it off, but why would he begin creation without finishing creation? That's a cool idea. For God to finish creation instead of beginning creation and then scrapping it altogether. Anyway. Good morning, Deborah, Lawrence, and Celestial Gaze. I'll put the link in for the after show chat. I'm going to wind this up here at 13 minutes. And again, go back over to yesterday's episode and listen to the sermon by Brother Elhanan Winchester. Exit stage right. And here is the link, after show link. There we go. Bye for now.